In this video I'm going to be talking about a book called Underland by Robert Macfarlane. Now over the past month or so I've been dawdling my way through Underland, and it's actually the first time I've read a book written by Robert Macfarlane, and almost within the first few pages I was taken by his writing style. Making real life magical through the written word takes a certain level of skill, and Underland is evidence that Robert Macfarlane is a gifted possessor of that skill. Perhaps many people can sympathise with this, especially now, but I haven't done any kind of serious travelling for like a really long time now. Between money woes, work commitments, travelling, it just hasn't been possible, despite the fact that it's one of my absolute favourite things to do. But reading this book has taken me to places and shown me geographical features of the world that I had no idea existed. Underland is absolutely heaving with ventures into places of both man-made and natural wonder. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about two specific examples from the book that just had me completely in awe. First off, we'll get one out of the way that might make me seem just a little bit ignorant, and that's the Catacombs of Paris. I have been to Paris before, but not as a thinking, feeling adult. Otherwise, I'd like to think I would have known about the labyrinth of death lying underneath the city. The following is a one-liner from the official website of the catacombs explaining why there are dead folk lining the walls of these Parisian tunnels. L'histoire de Paris. No, I'm not really going to do that. The history of the Paris catacombs starts in the late 18th century, when major public health problems tied to the city's cemeteries led to a decision to transfer their contents to an underground site. The problem wasn't one of hygiene alone, but also of space, or as Robert Macfarlane deftly puts it, the Parisian dead were pressing hard upon the Parisian living. And at a time when hygiene and medicine weren't at a level that they are now in modern day society, you can see why that would be a problem. The catacombs were basically voids left behind from underground stone quarrying from the past, and they clearly struck the Parisian government as the perfect solution to this grim problem. And so the bone stacking began. The catacombs consist of over 200 miles of galleries, rooms and chambers, and the remains of over 6 million corpses were moved to this quarry region and then below ground. Imagine that being your job. These poor bastards had to ferry all of these bones into Paris's underbelly, and once they were there they'd have to cart them around in the darkness, at which point they'd then stack them in these quite bizarre formations. So part of the catacombs are actually a public tourist site now, but there's still only limited access. And in this particular chapter of Underland, Robert Macfarlane, with the help of a bunch of his friends, ventures down into some of the off-limits or the prohibited areas of the catacombs. And these areas have become host to this odd emerging culture. They've become the playground of this whole community of underground explorers, but as well as that, people even throw parties down there as well. Now, as you can imagine, I'm reading this and I'm just going, oh wow. Anyway, I'll stop trying to retell what Armac does a whole lot better, but there's this section within the chapter where he's crawling through this body-sized space, and I mean literally just body-sized. It's ripe for collapse, and it's just this ridiculously intense piece of writing. Never has a book made my hands sweat before until now. This part of the book is actually available on, I think it's the New Yorker's website. And so I'll find the link and I'll put it in the description below for you to read. Honestly, it's one of the most anxiety-provoking pieces of non-fiction I've ever read. Rest assured, I will most certainly be venturing deep into the bowels of the City of Love next time I'm there. But I'll probably stay where it's safe though, thanks Rob. The second bit from Underland that I want to give a mention to is a bit about a river. We all know what a river is, right? But what if I told you there's such a thing as a subterranean river? A river that sniffs its nose up at the mainstream. A river that's literally underground. What if I told you that this particular underground river travels so far under the surface of the earth that it dives down in one country and reappears in another? And what if I told you that this astonishing river flows for a staggering 22 miles underground, huge portions of which are still completely unexplored by the divers who have made it their life's mission to do so? Man, this chapter blew my mind. The river that I'm referring to has two different names, given its dual habitation in both Italy and Slovenia. In Italy it's called the Timavo, and in Slovenia it's called the Reka. According to Robert Macfarlane, only 15% of the underground flow of the Timavo is currently known. Now I know this is just complacency, but it's so easy for us to forget how much of the planet that we live on is completely unexplored. Maybe I'm just easily astonished, but reading this had my jaw dropping incessantly. The source of the Timavo River is in Slovenia near the slopes of Mount Navoso. The river then runs for approximately 50 kilometres and drops deep in the Skotjan Caves. Probably butchered that pronunciation. Deep in the Skotjan Caves, where after 2.5 kilometres and 25 waterfalls, it disappears and re-emerges in San Giovanni al Timavo. The Timavo flows beneath a large area of limestone rock, and it's known as Il Carso in Italian or the Karst in English. And I think underground rivers actually supposed to favour limestone rock because of its more porous nature. Here's a bit more, Robert, on the underground entry point of the river. The Skotjan Canyon, where the Reka plunges into the Underland, is a site of exceptional force. The river crashes through an immense arch in a limestone cliff and drives on through collapsed sinkholes hundreds of yards in diameter. Reading this seriously just slapped me in the face. This is why I love learning, for these exact moments, to find out that something so fantastic that's natural can exist, and I can just have no idea whatsoever about it until now. Underland in its entirety has informed me of so many insanely interesting aspects of the world beneath our feet. Just think for a second how little you look up and consider the sky above. And I would say that what's going on beneath us is probably doubly mired with that level of inattention. So, as you might have guessed, I highly recommend reading Robert Macfarlane's Underland. And when this video goes up, I'm hoping that I'll also have my write-up of Underland up at jackinthewash.com/books, and you can read that there. It'll be a little bit different to this, probably a little bit overly poetic, as my writing seems to tend to be at the moment. What else is there to talk about? If you have enjoyed this video in any way, or any of the videos I've made in the past, literally anything from right at the beginning when I can't remember what my first video was, some kind of weird introduction. If you've enjoyed anything I've made, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go and check out jackinthewash.com. I've got loads of stuff up there now, books, films, just my general writing, some recommendations of different links that you can visit, places where I've found value. In terms of the videos specifically, there's going to be way more books and way more films to come here. I'll leave it there then. Thanks for watching and take care. Bye bye.